My name is Nathan. I'm a staff sergeant in the United States Army. I've served 15 years under the flag, boots on the ground in Iraq, long winters in Germany, scorching summers in Afghanistan. I've slept in mud, eaten from ration packs, and held the hands of brothers who didn't make it home. War teaches you to expect the unexpected. But nothing, not the bullets, not the blood, not even the quiet dread of night patrols, could have prepared me for the betrayal that was waiting for me just beyond my own front door. For 7 years, I thought I had stability in the chaos. Her name was Becky. We met during my last semester of college. I was a semester away from graduating, already enlisted and ready to ship out. Becky was vibrant. She was all light and laughter, the kind of person who could walk into a room and make it feel warmer. She had these bright eyes that sparkled when she smiled and a laugh that made people turn around just to see what was so funny. We fell hard and fast. She supported me through basic, sent care packages when I was stationed abroad, and proudly called herself an Army wife. I made her the center of my world. Every mission ended with me imagining her face. She was my lifeline, my reason to stay alive. I thought she was my anchor, keeping me tethered to something real while I drifted through the madness of war. But it turns out she was drilling holes in the hull of our ship the whole time. This story begins with my most recent deployment to Afghanistan. 8 months in, I started to notice something wasn't right. Becky and I used to talk almost every day when possible, emails, calls, even video chats when the connection didn't crap out. She used to be excited to hear from me, always full of stories about her day, gossip from the neighborhood, what show she was binge watching. But that changed. Suddenly, her messages got shorter. Calls were bad timing. And when I did manage to get her on the line, she was distracted, distant, like talking to a stranger. "I'm just stressed, Nathan," she'd say. The house, work, being alone. It's a lot. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I knew deployments were hard on spouses. I figured maybe we drifted a little. Long distance can do that, but we'd find our way back. I even told her I was thinking we could take a trip when I got back. Maybe try again for a baby. We'd been trying for over a year before I left. It had been hard on both of us. Her response? "Sure, that sounds nice." No warmth, no smile, just words. Still, I pushed it aside. I focused on the mission. But that sinking feeling in my gut never really left. Then came February. I was scheduled to come home at the end of the month, but I got the green light to leave 2 weeks early. I didn't tell Becky. I wanted to surprise her. I imagined her face lighting up when I walked through the door, her running into my arms like something out of a cheesy rom-com. Instead, I walked straight into a nightmare. When I pulled into the driveway, the first thing I noticed was the grass. Overgrown. Becky was meticulous about yard work. I'd taught her how to use the mower myself. That wasn't like her. Then I saw my truck was gone. My old Chevy Silverado, paid off, polished and parked carefully before I deployed wasn't there. In its place was a gray sedan I didn't recognize. My heart sank. I walked up to the door and punched in the keypad code. Denied. 3 times I tried. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out my old key. Thank God I kept it. Inside, the air smelled different. Not bad, just not familiar. Like new cologne. Furniture was rearranged. My recliner, my favorite one, the one I'd fought to keep when we moved, was gone. Replaced by some modern-looking chair I'd never seen before. But the real gut punch? Our wedding photos were missing. Every single one. The mantle was bare except for some cheap framed print from Target or wherever. No trace of us. No trace of me. Then I heard it. Laughter. Immense laughter. Upstairs. I froze. Every part of my training kicked in. Breathe. Assess. Don't react emotionally. I backed out of the house quietly, returned to the rental car, and sat there, heart pounding. I stared at the steering wheel for what felt like hours before I picked up my phone and dialed Becky's number. She answered casually. "Hey," she said, like everything was fine. I said nothing at first. Then, steady as I could, "So, who's upstairs?" Silence. Long, crushing silence. Then, finally, "Nathan, you weren't supposed to be back yet." No panic. No guilt. Just irritation, like I'd messed up her little plan. "And Ranger?" I asked. "Our dog. My buddy. The one who slept beside my boots every night before I deployed. We had to rehome him. It was too much with work and everything. Too much." I hung up without another word. That night, I checked into a cheap motel off the highway. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I called a friend, an attorney who'd helped a couple of my guys through messy military divorces. I laid everything out. That's when I learned Becky had already filed for divorce. 3 months earlier. Filed in a different county where she falsely claimed she lived. She did that so I wouldn't get notified properly. The papers were sent to an old address, one I hadn't used in years. She knew I wouldn't see them. She wanted the house. Alimony. Half my pension. She claimed she sacrificed her career to support my military service. The kicker? She was already living with another man who I later found out had moved in the day after she filed. But it gets worse. I checked our joint bank accounts. Empty. Savings? Gone. The emergency deployment fund? I'd set that up for her for unexpected expenses while I was overseas. She drained it within a month of me leaving. Our credit cards were maxed out in my name. Then I pulled up our mortgage information. She had refinanced the house. That's when my stomach dropped. I looked at the documents. My signature was there. Except I never signed it. She'd forged it. And that's when this turned from betrayal to a full-blown criminal investigation. I contacted the bank, provided my deployment records, and explained I hadn't even been in the country during the refinancing process. They launched an internal fraud probe. It turns out Becky had been coached by her new boyfriend, who, get this, used to work in real estate. He had connections and helped her forge documents and navigate loopholes. But they got sloppy. One of the notaries listed on the refinance paperwork had passed away a year before the document was supposedly signed. That opened the door for a larger investigation. Turns out, Becky and her boyfriend weren't just targeting me. They'd pulled similar stunts with 2 other military families. Fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. That's when the FBI got involved. My attorney worked closely with federal investigators. I turned over every email, every financial statement, every piece of evidence I had. Becky and her boyfriend were arrested 3 months later. Multiple felony charges. As for me, I got the house back. The refinance was reversed. Becky was ordered to pay restitution, though. I doubt I'll see a dime of it. Her boyfriend is facing years in prison, and she's got a criminal record now. She won't be ruining anyone else's life anytime soon. It took me a long time to come to terms with what happened. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the realization that the person I trusted the most, the person I thought had my back while I was risking my life, had been planning my downfall the entire time. But I'm healing. I've started rebuilding, not just my finances, but my faith in people. I rescued a new dog, another German Shepherd. Named him Bravo. He sleeps by my boots too. And I've started dating again. Slowly, carefully, I've learned a lot about trust, about resilience, and about the kind of strength it takes to start over when the world you built crumbles beneath you. War didn't break me. Becky tried. But I'm still standing. And this time, no one's knocking me down. I'll never forget the moment I knew something was wrong. I was halfway through my deployment, over 7,000 miles away, sweating through a uniform in the middle of a desert, when I received a notification on my military email. It was from the bank. Something about a refinance approval. Only, I hadn't applied for a refinance. That email kicked off a spiral of doubt and dread that I couldn't shake, no matter how focused I tried to stay. I was a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. My job required precision, discipline, and trust. But my mind wasn't on the mission anymore. It was on home, on Becky, my wife, my partner, or so I thought. I contacted my commanding officer and the JG office immediately. They referred me to a military legal assistance attorney, and as soon as I got the chance, I scheduled a video call. That one call unraveled my entire marriage. After reviewing the documents and getting in touch with the bank, we uncovered the extent of Becky's betrayal. She hadn't just refinanced the house. She had forged my signature on the loan application and submitted falsified deployment orders to force the paperwork through, claiming to hold power of attorney. A power I never gave her. She had forged my name, falsified federal documents, and used my deployment as a smokescreen to commit fraud. But it didn't end there. We found several wire transfers, large sums of money siphoned out of our joint accounts. The recipient? A man. A name I didn't recognize. But I'd soon know him all too well. Because this wasn't just some online affair. This guy, her boyfriend, was living in my house. Yeah, while I was getting sand in every crevice of my body and sleeping with one eye open in hostile territory, he was driving my truck, wearing my clothes, sleeping in my bed, grilling on my patio. He even posted a picture on Instagram, standing proudly in front of my custom-built grill with the caption, "King of the Castle." I felt like I'd been kicked in the chest. But I'm a soldier. I don't go nuclear without a plan. I don't strike without precision. Revenge is best served strategic. So, I got to work. Step 1. I froze my credit. No one, especially not Becky, was going to touch another dime of mine. Step 2. I opened fraud investigations with every bank and credit card company connected to our names. I combed through every transaction, screenshotting every shady withdrawal, every bizarre wire transfer, every fake email she'd sent to push paperwork through. And then I did what every smart man in my situation should do. I contacted the FBI. Why the FBI? Because this had crossed into federal territory. We weren't dealing with a petty domestic squabble anymore. This was wire fraud, bank fraud, forgery of federal documents tied to military deployment. It was the kind of stuff that gets people locked up for a long time. 2 weeks later, I got the call. A special agent reached out and said they'd been investigating a ring of fraudsters, scumbags targeting deployed military personnel. Turns out, spouses or partners were being used as inside players. They'd get access to service members' finances, forge documents, and drain accounts while the soldier was too far away to fight back. And Becky? She wasn't just caught in it. She was a key piece of the puzzle. The agent asked for everything I had. Every document, every screenshot, every timestamp. I gave it all. From there, everything started to move quickly. The FBI launched a formal investigation. For months, I wasn't allowed to discuss the details. Not with my not with my friends, not with anyone. I kept my head down, did my job, and waited. But in my mind, I was counting the days until justice knocked on her door. And one morning, it finally did. Federal agents raided the house. Not quietly, not politely, with full force. Her boyfriend? Arrested on the spot for identity theft and fraud. Becky? Hauled in for questioning, stunned and sobbing like she hadn't brought this on herself. As the investigation unfolded, the agents uncovered more than I ever imagined. Not only had she forged my signature and faked military documents, but she had also applied for a paycheck protection loan during the pandemic, claiming to run a home business, a business that didn't exist. She filed under her name and listed me as a co-signer. That was the fatal mistake, because now she was legally and financially liable for every dime. and the feds had been watching her bank activity for weeks, collecting data, building their case. Becky tried to play the victim, claimed I had emotionally abandoned her during deployment, claimed she had no other option but to survive however she could. The FBI didn't buy it. Neither did the judge. When the divorce proceedings began, Becky probably thought she'd win. She expected half the assets, alimony, maybe even my pension. But the moment my attorney presented the evidence, the entire courtroom shifted. The judge ruled in my favor on every count. Becky got no alimony. I kept my full military pension. I got the house back. She was ordered to pay restitution for every stolen cent. Her boyfriend was convicted on multiple counts of fraud and identity theft. Becky was sentenced to 5 years of probation and 500 hours of community service. She lost her job once her employer discovered she was under federal investigation. Her little kingdom came crashing down. But I wasn't done. The house, our house, was tainted. Every corner whispered betrayal. So, I sold it, took the profits, and bought a new home out in the countryside. Quiet, peaceful, mine. I adopted a new dog, a Belgian Malinois named Scout. Loyal, fierce, exactly what I needed. I started therapy. I reconnected with friends I hadn't talked to in years. And then I took a trip to Italy, a promise I'd made to myself during that hellish deployment. I stood under the Roman sun, breathing air that didn't taste like betrayal. For the first time in years, I felt free. Becky tried to contact me once. She sent an email full of half-hearted apologies, veiled justifications, and pathetic lines like, "I just want to clear the air." I never replied. She made her choices. She turned our marriage into a transaction, our love into a con. She weaponized my trust, used my absence to destroy everything we built, and she thought I'd just take it. But she forgot who I am. I'm a soldier. I don't fold. I fight smart. And when the dust settles, I rebuild better. So, to anyone out there in uniform or anyone who's ever felt that gut punch betrayal from the one person who was supposed to have your back, don't suffer in silence. Document everything. Speak up. Protect your peace. Because sometimes the hardest battles aren't the ones fought overseas. They're the ones waiting at your front door. And sometimes, the best revenge is healing. Not burning down their world, just watching it collapse on its own while you quietly build a better one without them.